Hello guys, today we're going to be going over how to solo 10 to 50 shock escalation. I'm using the sword, we're going to use the hunger, we have the Iceborne equipped as our Omnicell, the Skarn lantern to give us shield, then we have the exotic Charog helmet, and then full Nasher and everything else. Our goal is to get plus 6 Molten, plus 6 Pacifier, plus 6 Rage Hunter, plus 6 Sturdy, plus 6 Tenacious, and plus 6 Tough, which will increase our health, and then all of the abilities that we have equipped is going to increase our lifesteal and just generally heal us. Also on the sword, our ability is Mending Blade Core, that way we heal ourselves. And it's completely necessary to do it this way because the Malkarion can pretty much one-shot you if you don't have close to 1,500 health. And when you're fighting two behemoths at once, you have to be able to heal for that damage, otherwise you're just going to die. So this build is pretty much completely necessary, but it also lets us attack without having to go down because of the sturdy, and it gives us pretty decent attack buffs. So I'm just going to let the video play and I'll comment when we have something important happen. So here the Molten puts in a lot of work. As you can see, we're fighting the Hellion and it spews flames, and so having that Molten is going to make sure that we don't die because our life still can't keep up with the flames, although generally speaking it can, but it's just nice to have, plus it boosts our attack speed. Here I take Thrill of the Hunt because it's a no-brainer. If you can get it this early in the game, it'll increase our damage so much that it's like, you have to take it. There are very few other things that you would take in place of Thrill of the Hunt, especially on the first behemoth defeated. I think it'll add something like 25% damage by the time that we hit the Malkarion, so it's very useful. I messed up using my abilities in the early fight. When you activate the hunger, you don't want to have the lifesteal active from your Omnicell, and you also do not want to have the shield active from your lantern, because if you do the hunger already gives you lifesteal, and then it will also eat away your shield, which you're getting from the Omnicell, and you would prefer to have that. So you would generally only use one of them at the same time, unless your health is really low, then you could use the Omnicell at the same time. But for the most part, you do not want to use the hunger when you're using your other abilities. If you see me attacking them when they're already down, it's to get as many bars of valor back up as we can, because they still have their hitbox when they're down, and it will still give you bars of valor, so that's pretty important. And this choice, I ended up taking Duelist Precision. The other ones aren't extremely good for what we're doing. So, but if we could have gotten Duelist Precision and Critical Domain, that would have been really nice, but I just took the Duelist Precision. And if you've been paying attention, you will also notice that our skills have been keeping us pretty much topped off with health, which is giving us something like 34% extra damage from our Tenacious ability. I forgot to mention this earlier, but our helmet is giving us a stamina shield every time that we deal damage, which is how we're able to keep spamming heavy attacks. It's actually pretty useful, especially when we have the behemoth staggered, or we're using the hunger special ability, which is called the feast. So that's just something to keep in mind. The helmet is actually necessary because of that ability. Something that I noticed after doing this shock escalation already was that the sword typically deals part damage. It doesn't deal that much stagger damage, so some of the cells that I have equipped will improve your stagger damage, and you probably don't want that. So what you should be looking for instead is Sharpened or Blade Storm if you can put them on. But I don't know if that's possible in keeping everything else the same. And I also can't remember exactly what all the cells do, whether or not they increase our stagger damage, but that's something worth noting as well, is that the sword does part damage and not stagger damage, so trying to increase the part damage will increase your overall damage more than trying to increase the stagger damage. So here I have a pretty important choice. I can either pick Pact of Vitality, Bonds of Conflict, or Executioner, and both of them, or all three of them, are really good. The reason why I didn't go with Pact of Vitality, which would be my normal pick, is because our next fight is against two behemoths, those being the Riftstalker and the Thunderdeep Drask. The Riftstalker is really nasty by itself, and I'd never fought a Thunderdeep Drask before, so I didn't want to risk not being able to have my healing, and it's a pretty good thing that I didn't go for Pact of Vitality, as you'll soon see. So instead I pick Executioner +2, and I believe that I get Bonds of Conflict later, but I'm not 100% on that. So, but if I was only fighting one behemoth, I would have definitely taken Pact of Vitality because it's very good for our build. So this fight was actually pretty unique in the fact that the Riftstalker didn't come over until I'd already been able to beat on the Drask for about half a minute. And when the Riftstalker did come over, it got instantly booped. And you'll see that happen again where the Riftstalker tries to attack me and I instantly boop it. And it's just by accident. I'm attacking the Thunderdeep Drask and I just boop it. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that if you can do that on a double thing, it's very nice, especially being able to focus on just one behemoth. So possibly waiting for a second on the landing before going into the fight to see if you can get one of them isolated is a good strategy. Here I did something very stupid. I attacked straight into the Drask's laser beam. Try not to do that. The Thunderdeep Drask hits like a truck, like literally. I actually go down to it once in this fight, but so taking out the Thunderdeep Drask first is not only absolutely necessary, but you also just need to pay attention and not get hit by unnecessary damage. Even though that this build is supposed to fight through the damage, the Thunderdeep Drask's damage is too much, and our healing can't really keep up at a good pace. I just noticed watching this a third time through is that the Riftstalker really left me alone for the Thunderdeep Drask. I actually got it down to half health pretty much without fighting the Riftstalker at all. So I don't know what was going on this fight, but whatever it was, I liked it. So with the Thunderdeep Drask finally beat, we're much better off because it was dealing so much damage. But now the Riftstalker can use its special abilities, which isn't good either. So in this case I just run around. You could try to boop it if you want, but it's too risky in my opinion. One of the other things that you need to take note is that in this fight I have, like, the weak spot is one of the fight's special abilities, and that comes into handy twice because it actually staggers the Riftstalker. So that's one thing to think about. So in that little part, I got really unlucky with my camera messing up. I accidentally pressed the control stick, which goofed up my camera. But luckily, the weak spot triggered and staggered it anyway. I was going to do it, but missed my trigger. So I got really lucky in that Riftstalker fight with not having to deal with all those portals spewing stuff at me. Here I take Breath of Life, which gives us increased lifesteal, which is actually very helpful. And now we're on to the Malkarion, so you can see why I have to have so much life for this build to actually function. You get to see it twice, why I need it, because otherwise you will just die. So. watch my life bar very carefully. Just to give you an idea of why this build is so necessary, we went from 1,900 life and shields down to 500, regained it all back up to 1,700. So we're just going to say that we gained 1,100 life. So that would put us at 3,000 life and shields total, and then we went back down to 1,000 again, which means that the Malkarion did us 2,000 damage in the course of maybe half a minute. So unless you have health regain that is massive, or you have insane life or defense, you're going to need something to compensate for that. And it happened to us twice. Well, the second time wasn't as much damage. Still, if we didn't have that much life or any life steal, we would have died. So that's why I'm running this build, and that's why I think that this build is almost necessary, unless you play the game like perfectly. So, but that's it. At least with this build, you can play it. You can still be a noob and basically win okay, as long as you have the equipment, which is probably the hard part. So that's all that I've got for you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Please like and subscribe, and goodbye.